is going on, guys, and welcome back to another Pokemon Wi-Fi battle. Today I have an NU match. This one's against Gabe, and I decided to bring a pretty random team that I threw together just on a live stream, and this turns out to be a really good match. He has a pretty interesting team over there. I'm afraid of the Vileplume because that does counter a lot of my team. I don't have much I can do to it. But anyways, let's go ahead and get this started. So I decided to just lead off with Primeape just because I wanted to see what he was going to lead off with, you know, maybe just get a little U-turn out. He leads off with the Cradilly, and them 8 dicks are just staring me right in the eye, and I'm like, I gotta get the hell out of here. So I go for the U-turn, and it does a lot of damage, and I'm like, alright, Primeape, just doing your job. So I decided now switch into Mrs. Maggie, who is going to take a Rock Slide here, actually. He made a nice play. He went for the attack rather than setting up the Stealth Rocks, because I think he predicted a switch into the Togetic, and that would have done a buttload of damage to me, so that was kind of scary. I now decide to just go for a substitute just to see if he's going to either switch or maybe just set up some rocks or something so I can get free sub, but he ends up just going for the Rock Slide again, and Miss Maggie's substitute is going to go ahead and fade on out of there. So at this point, I'm kind of screwed because Miss Maggie can't do too much to this unless I have some nasty plots. My plan there was to just substitute, start thinking nasty thoughts, get a whole bunch of special attack, and be pretty solid. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Now I know he's probably just going to go for another Rock Slide, so I am free to bring back in Primeape, who does not take much damage from that at all. And at this point, I'm actually expecting him to switch, but then I freaking clicked Close Combat, which was a misplay on my part. I should have went for the U-turn. I knew he was going to switch. I was like, you know, I'm in Close Combat anyways. He ends up going into the Arbok, and the Snake actually takes a decent amount of damage from that because these things are pretty damn frail. Side note, freaking shiny Arbok is the most badass looking thing ever. I need to get one of these damn things. That's for sure. It actually has a pretty interesting set, as you'll see in a little bit here. But now I just decided to switch into old Wardy here because I know I can take some physical attacks in this thing. He ends up throwing a trash can at me, and I'm like, yo, that's just rude, man. That hurts, like, that hurts a lot. All right. I remember when Gunk Shot didn't used to be a trash can. Now it's just literally throws a freaking metal trash can at my face. But now he switches into the Swellow, maybe predicting the Earthquake. I just decided to set up some Stealth Rocks because I do see this the Swellow on the side of the team. I'm like, you know, that's going to do some damage to me later, so I figured getting the Stealth Rocks up now would be a pretty good investment considering the next time this freaking bird's going to come in, it'll take some decent damage. So at this point, I know I can take an attack. At full health, Seismitoad can take for sure some Swellow attacks, and honestly, Swellow is pretty, you know, scary to my team. I don't have much to take it. Wardy's my defense wall, who is basically not going to be able to take too many attacks from this here birdie. So at this point, I actually do have to end up sacking my Wardy Toad here. So he goes for the Brave Bird. Luckily, though, he's going to take some damage from that. He's going to get a critical hit, it's going to kill me, but he's going to take that recoil, and then after the poison damage, it's going to bring him down really low, so at this point, he can't switch the Swellow out, and I am glad that I got rid of this thing early, because I would not have been able to handle this thing very well late game. But now I bring in Primeape, I know I'm going to be able to end up killing this thing. He actually runs Quick Attack on the Swellow, which is unfortunate, but luckily Primeape takes that quite nicely, and I'm able to kill it off with a U-turn. So that's some pretty good news. I'm able to switch into whoever I feel like here. So I just decide, you know, it is Dunsparce time. I'm going to bring out old Derp here, who is looking shiny, looking like a badass. And, you know, Dunsparce is actually pretty underrated. This thing puts in work if you can set up some coils and stuff like that. But now he brings in the Luxray. I'm kind of afraid of the superpowers, so I decided to switch into Meganium here, as I know I'm a defensive wall. I can take any attack from this thing, and I can actually also live in Ice Fang, so that's pretty cool. Now, at this point, I realized he could switch into the Vileplume, predicting the Elite Seed, and kind of screw me over there. So I was pretty hesitant to go for it, but I do end up going for the Elite Seed, as he's just going to switch into the Arbok here, trying to get that tight matchup. A Gunk Shot would definitely do a lot to Meganium here, so he's going to take them Stealth Rocks. I end up going for the Elite Seed. I'm pretty thankful that he did not go into the Vileplume. Honestly, I think Vileplume probably would have been a better switch, because he would have negated the either Toxic or the Leech Seed and then been able to hit me with some Sludge Bombs. But, you know, I guess Arbok actually does pretty much the same job other than being able to block the Leech Seed. But anyways, now at this point I'm, you know, kind of contemplating whether or not I can stay in here and go for the counter as he hits me with an attack. But then I was like, you know, I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to go ahead and switch in Dunsparce. I really would like this thing to start setting up. Dunsparce is fucking awesome when it does. So now this Arbok ends up going for a rest. And seeing that this thing did not carry the Intimidate ability as it switched in earlier, I'm fairly, obviously it has the Shed Skin ability, meaning pairing Rest with it is actually quite awesome because the Shed Skin ability has a chance to shed off the status. So basically Rest a lot of the time we'll get Shed Skinned off just as it does here. So he wakes up from the Shed Skin, and in the process though, Dunsparce is going to be able to set up a coil. So I'm over here coiling up like a fucking snake, and I'm a way cooler snake than this thing. I don't even know what Dunsparce is on it, honestly, but he decides to coil up himself, and we were just having a coil fest over here as we're both just raising our attack, defense, and accuracy. I now decide to go for the headbutts. This is kind of a mismatch for me, considering the strategy with this Dunsparce is actually to go for the glare and get these things paralyzed, and then be able to get them headbutt flinches with the Serene Grace. Once you're faster, headbutt has the ability to flinch, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to flinch this thing, but luckily I am actually able to kill this thing with one more headbutt, as I took that gunk shot like a damn monster. After a coil, you do not want to fuck with Dunsparce. Honestly, I also actually have, I've got I have Roost on this thing. And Dunsparce actually has the ability to heal up, which is pretty damn awesome. But now he's going to bring in the Zangoose. I do not know what this thing really wants to do, and I'm like, you know, I'm going to save my boy Dunsparce for later. So I decide to switch into old Meganium here as I take a knockoff, which is kind of lame. He knocks off them leftovers, but no really big deal, as now he's just going to go for a Facade. Here I make a misplay. I really should have gone for the counter here. Counter would have killed that thing, and I would have looked awesome using a counter Meganium. But I actually end up just going for the Giga Drain. Maybe actually thinking he was going to switch or something. I don't know. I should have gone for the counter. Kind of beating myself up about it, but you know, whatever. Still haven't got this freaking counter Meganium to work, but it'll work. Don't you worry. But anyways, the Zangoose is over here getting hurt by poison. I'm not really too afraid of it because I know that I can bring in Ms. Maggie and I'm able to outspeed this thing easily. And I was gonna set up a substitute, but then I realized I was life orbed, and then like the next attack I went for, I would kill myself. So that is, it's all good though. So I end up going for the T-Bolts, takes out the Zangoose, and now he's going to bring out 8-Dicks the Cradilly again, and I still have to, you know, kind of formulate a plan for this thing. This wall is pretty effective against my team here. Now I actually just decide to switch back into Dunsparce, because I kind of figure this guy won't be able to do really too much to me. Maybe I'll have the opportunity to start setting up some coils, because if I do get up enough coils, the Vileplume won't be too big of a problem to Dunsparce, because I know I can take some attacks from it, and then headbutts will do a pretty reasonable amount of damage. But yeah, so Dunsparce is going to go for the Roost here. I'm like, yeah, that's right, let me just go ahead and lay on the ground, and I'm actually always laying on the ground, but you know, just gonna go for the Roost, get all my health back, as now the Cradilly goes for the Toxic, revealing that he has that, which is kind of a bummer. I was hoping he wouldn't have Toxic, but who am I kidding? It's a freaking Cradilly, so he's going to be eating his leftovers over here, and being Toxic really kind of hinders Dunsparce's ability to stay in here for a really long time and set up some coils, which is kind of a bummer, but I just decided to now go for the Glare, as that's going to paralyze this thing, and I was like, you know, it might be nice to paralyze this thing, maybe get some lucky hacks or something. I don't know. I just like glaring things, staring them down with my weird, scary Dunsparce eyes or whatever. I don't know how that paralyzes people. Maybe they're just like paralyzed in fear. I think that's pretty sure that's the whole idea. But anyways, now I just decided to switch out Dunsparce. I'm not going to be able to do too much to this guy at all. So I'm like, you know, I'm going to switch into Primeape and hope he gets paralyzed. He actually does. Had he went for the Rock Slide, though, I would have lived it, though. So that's totally fine. Now he's going to switch into the Vileplume, as I know he's probably going to do that. So I actually end up going for the U-Turn. U-Turn would have done a lot to Cradilly anyways, so it was a pretty reasonable play. So the U-Turn does quite a bit of damage to this Vileplume, considering how damn defensive these flower fucks are. But now I just decided to send in old Dragoon here. My boy Egg Dragon's going to go ahead and avoid a Sleep Powder, which was crucial. And I'm able to hit this thing with a Flamethrower, and it's not going to do a lot of it, a lot of damage, but it does actually get the burn. The Serene Grace, I have 2 Serene Grace Pokemon on this team, which is pretty annoying, I know, but hey, Flamethrower burns are pretty common when you got a freaking Serene Grace Togetic, so that's pretty awesome. Now I'm going to switch back into Dunsparce. Getting that burn actually made me feel pretty safe about this thing. He can synthesis his health back, but he's going to get that continual burn damage. I initially switched into Dunsparce to be able to block the Sleep Powder because I'm already poisoned, and I know this guy can't really do too much to me. He can't put me to sleep. He can basically just stay here and take some burn damage. So he actually ends up going for the Moonlight. He doesn't have Synthesis, and I honestly forgot that Vileplume even gets access to Moonlight, which is pretty damn interesting. Vileplume's a pretty fucking cool Pokemon, let's be real here. I just go for a Headbutt, try to get that damage. Unfortunately, I am unable to freaking paralyze this thing, so I'm not going to be getting any Paraflinch with the old Serene Grace Dunsparce today, but it'll happen. it'll happen. So Vileplume's getting burn damage. We're chilling over here. He's going to go for the Giga Drain, but it's not going to do a whole lot to Dunsparce. I mean, it actually does a decent amount, considering he gets a lot of health back from it. It's kind of annoying. I decide to go for the Coil on that turn just because I know I can probably live 2 Giga Drains, and then I'd be able to hit this thing with a pretty hard-hitting headbutts. But honestly, this matchup is not looking too hot for me because Dunsparce over here, he's probably not going to be able to do a whole lot with the headbutt, but honestly, I just like to, I'm going to test this guy's ability. So I get the poison damage. It knocks me down to a pretty low amount of health, but I'm still feeling confident that I'm going to live one. He goes for the Giga Drain. Derp is not dying today. Let that be known. I live it with 4 HP, and I'm able to go for a headbutt. Unfortunately, though, obviously, it's not going to do a whole lot to this thing, and my boy Dunsparce is about to die, which, you know, is kind of is a bummer, but it's all good. Kind of put in work. I don't know, Dunsparce is pretty fun to bring because no one even really knows what to expect. And once this thing starts setting up, it's pretty deadly. So the Vileplume's burned over here. I'm feeling pretty solid about being able to kill this thing with Miss Maggie. I know I can outspeed. Obviously, I'm just gonna bring in old Miss Maggie and hit him with a Shadow Ball to the face, and that is a dead flower. So that is a large threat out of the way, and I am pretty damn happy about that. So now he's gonna bring in So Anime, who is the Luxray. And I'm still going to be able to outspeed him, so I'm just going to go for a Shadow Ball. I figure Miss Maggie's probably not too useful at this point in the match. I go for the Shadow Ball. It doesn't end up killing it, which is kind of a damn shame, but it brings him down to the point where the poison is going to next turn. And plus, wait, you know, actually I don't think the poison actually does. The Wild Charge's going to give him some recoil, and he actually lives this poison damage. It totally looks like he was going to die. Nope, hangs on with like 1 HP, and I was like, oh, you asshole Luxray. So now I gotta bring in Primeape, who is able to outspeed this thing, which is chill, and I'm able to just go for a U-turn. So at this point, the last Pokemon on his side is the Cradilly, and I have to formulate a plan to be able to kill this thing, so I'm hoping that Egg Dragoon is gonna be able to put in work here. I know he does carry the Rock Slide, which is dangerous, but he is paralyzed, so I do have a pretty good chance to get this thing to get some Parahacks. I decide to go for the Nasty Plot. I know I can live at least 1 Rock Slide, maybe even 2, so I'm like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going for it. He breaks through the paralysis, and the Rock Slide ends up doing less than half to me, and I'm like, hell yeah, Togetic is an absolute monster. Honestly, this thing is so damn good because it comes in, it's able to Nasty Plot while in the process taking hits and just being able to just do some damage with that Nasty Plot Dazzling Gleam. So I just decided to just start spamming some Dazzling Gleams. It doesn't do a whole lot because this is definitely a specially defensive Cradilly, and I'm a freaking Togetic, let's be real here, but I'm just going to keep going for it as he's just going to go ahead and recover, which shows me that this is definitely going to be some type of stall war, and we're going to see who's going to be able to come out on top here. So he can actually poison me, which is what I'm kind of afraid of, but I don't think it's going to last that long, so I just decided to go for the Nasty Plot again. I'm like, you know what, I need to just start getting at that special attack to the point where these Dazzling Gleams are going to do a decent amount, but he does end up getting up that Toxic, and unfortunately for him, the battle is not going to last long enough for that Toxic to actually be pretty crucial. So I just, at this point, I'm at +4 special attack. I'm just going to start throwing some more Dazzling Gleams at it. As he hits me with 1 more Rock Slide, I'm going to be able to live the poison damage, and then 1 more Dazzling Gleam is going to be able to finish off the Cradilly. So Togetic came in clutch. This was the first battle I ever really used him in, and he came through. So that's what I'm talking about, Togetic. You the man. So I can throw 1 more Dazzling Gleam at him. And that is going to be the end of the match there. So that was a really close battle. Thank you all for watching. If you could hit that thumbs up button on this video, I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys later. Peace.